I'm going to start with the liquid white is already on the canvas, and I'm going to try to do a little version of Pikes Peak that I saw last year on a trip to Colorado. And again, this is just to really get back in the swing of things and use Bob's technique to kind of jump start, kind of get back into painting again after several years of not doing it really seriously. So this is just kind of a refresher course. So this might get a little rough, but I'm going to give it a shot and see how it goes. I'm going to start with a little of the phthalo blue and just get a touch of it here on the palette. That's probably way more than I need. So here you can see I just have a little dot of it. You can see that there. And I'm just going to go into that with the same brush that I did my liquid white with. And like Bob, just start up at the corner. I'm going to start on each edge and work toward the middle. And that's pretty dark, so definitely want to blend that out. Blend it down. Yeah, I didn't even need nearly as much as I got on there. So I'm going to try to bring some of this white back up. Yeah, that's still pretty intense. So I'm going to keep blending and bring that down even. Get more of that white up there. Maybe go into a little liquid white here at the top and just kick that blue down a little bit. There, that's looking a little better. Still trying to kick that back. Okay. Well, that's plenty of blue for what we're doing today. So now we're going to go from this 2-inch brush, and I want to get just a little fan brush. And my titanium white. And unfortunately, a lot of my paints are not the newest, so we might run into a snag here. It's like getting the last out of a tube of toothpaste. I'm going to take the fan brush and go into my titanium white, and you know what? Go into a smaller fan brush here first. You know what? I'll just use the corner. Just use the corner of the fan brush. I can get that little guy to stay on there. And when I was at Pikes Peak, this view was during a little schmutz on there. When I was at Pikes Peak, it was sunset on the mountains and on the trees in the foreground, but the moon was already up. So I want to lay that in first. I'm going to just say he's going to live here. And I'm trying to make a circle, but might need the smaller fan brush for this. Do an actual circle. This doesn't have to be completely perfect, but I'd like it to be close. Bob would probably just use his finger, but I like to do that because the less time I can spend touching chemicals is probably the better. Okay, so that's going to be our basic moon shape there. Maybe just give it a little texture there. Here, just give it a little. Alright, so that's going to be my moon. And then I'm going to go back into the white. My blob of white kind of moved there on the plastic palette. But just going to get some little clouds in here. Just scratch some things in here. Just try to stir up the bottoms a little bit. Alright, so this is so I'm just going to take this brush that still has the blue and just kind of mix up the bottoms here. Alright, so that's pretty subtle. So this is Van Dyke Brown. Just gonna add a little of this so I can make a little background mountain color. We'll see how that looks. We're gonna mix it up with the blue, the brown. Make that a good dark color. A little more brown. Yeah, we want that pretty dark. Okay, so there's a brown color, and really, if I'm remembering right, the mountain kind of came up here, came up. And if you live in Colorado, you might say this is totally wrong. But I'm just going to put that in there. One of the things that really surprised me when we got to Pikes Peak was that it did seem to have a little, it wasn't the big jagged mountain that I'd kind of expected it to be. When you hear Pikes Peak and you think, oh, it's going to be this, towering spire above the landscape, and it's up there, but it's much more subtle than you would think. I might be getting this kind of wrong, but this is also just like I said, this is a refresher course, and I'm just trying to work on some techniques here rather than nailing everything perfectly. Alright, so I'm grabbing my same dirty brush here, and I'm just going to try to get this out. Lay down clean this shape up a little bit. Got kind of a little, one of my fan brushes, I can get rid of that guy. I got a little wispy thing up here, but maybe I can get rid of that with him. Still be able to blend that out. I may have made a happy little accident here, but gonna try to solve it here. All right. Let's see what that ends up. Oh, that. You try to do one more thing, and it just kind of. I always end up with a handful of utensils as I go. I don't know if that's common, but definitely what seems to happen to me as I go. By the end, I got fistfuls of brushes and tools and stuff like that. Okay. Alright, now the back peak here has quite a bit of snow on it, and it breaks pretty hard, so let's see if I can get this to just happen here. Bob likes to cut across the. If we can. I need a little more paint here. I might not have a thick enough thick enough paint to really be getting this to work. That's a little better. And we'll try a little experiment here. That's a little smeary. Trying to get that roll of paint to be even across. Well, you'd never believe it by looking at this, but one time I used to be pretty good at this. I'm way overthinking it, that's for sure. Yeah, it's just not quite breaking the way I wanted it to, but okay. Well, I'm going to leave that for now. And even though it's a little hideous, it looks way overworked. Might come back with a thin yellow. Just try to get some of that. Let's see what we can do with that as we go. So I'm going to take this, just tap out the bottom. It's probably more than 2 hairs and some air, but alright, now I'm going to lay in some of that dark color for the closer elements. So I'm just going to get some more of that Van Dyke brown. So I'm going to go into there with that dirty brush, 2-inch brush, and just lay in color. Got a little bristle there. Get that off with the corner. Go back into my brown. Alright. Do that same mountain technique, getting the edge of the mountain. With practice I'll get a little cleaner on this, but get that nice Van Dyke brown and start laying in. Okay, so we got this foreground mountain here. I'm just gonna smooth him out. I could have, maybe that's all. Maybe that's how I'll define these a little bit more, is by their highlights. 'Cause these were pretty brown, but I think they weren't real descript, or there wasn't much to define them. Maybe I'll try to find a way to highlight them with a little bit yellow when I get to it here. The nice thing about this is the stuff stays really wet, so if it's late at night and you're just killing yourself here, you can go to bed and come back and it'll still be there to frustrate you tomorrow. But it'll still be wet for a couple days, so you can go back into it if you see something you don't like. Try to fix it and hope you don't make it worse, but sometimes that happens. And sometimes the thing is you just have to wait till it dries and then go back on top of it and get to it, because that's just the way it's been with some of these for me. Is if you have really fine detail work you do or you want to do. I did one of a buffalo years and years ago, and I just couldn't do the detail of the buffalo like how I wanted the hair and stuff around the head. It just wasn't doable with the way the oil paint was moving around. So I ended up just doing the background and kind of leaving a rough shape where he was going to live, and then went back in, and after it dried, I spent a few hours just trying to get the details how I wanted it. When we were there, it was October, and so the leaves have started to change, and in the sunset, there's just a little bit of yellow and red. Ooh, that red is strong. Get more of that yellow in there. I'm really making a mess here. Got this new plastic palette and it's not the greatest. So just add a little color up here. I'm just going to go in and lay some of this red-yellow mix on the canvas. That's really a good look. So when you do thousands and thousands of paintings like Bob, you kind of get past all these little growing pain moments where you don't look like a complete idiot doing this, and it's pretty impressive. But when you haven't really seriously painted in 6 years, kind of tough to just jump right in and get all your muscle memory working the way you want it to. So even though I know what I want to do, sometimes it's just not happening. So, and I'm still getting that. Just maybe I'll add a little more crimson back here. Just to set that off, I'm going to take this guy and try to clean that edge up a little bit. Like pretty crisp edges on things. Especially if this is supposed to be the distance. You know, maybe I'll go into some of this white and just give a little more, try to add a little bit of the mist back in and down here. Okay. All right. As Bob would say, I've piddled that to death. So I'm going to leave that alone. Might take some of this yellow. If I can get back to the original color. Some of this white. Yellow and the white. Just see if I can just kiss some of this. Just give it a little bit of... Alright, so I'm really fussing this to death. Trying to get... that. We can get some of that shadow color on that side. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Just making a mess. Yeah, it's pretty dicey. All right, let's call that a learning experience and just move on. And I'm going to go back into, now I'm going to get some of that sap green, get some of the green, mix it with some of the brown, and start putting in my trees, because this is, like I said, this is a learning experience. And I'm going to go pretty dark here, so I'm mixing in some of the blue, some of the green, and some of the brown that's still on there. Maybe a little of the crimson too. Just get a nice dark color. And let's see. You know what? That's too many things going on. I think my background's too thin. So if I want this to work, I'm really going to have to mash that in. Mash this thick paint right into here. Really get some of that blue in there. And there we go. That's getting a little darker. Alright. Probably should have left more white under here than really under there. Had that kind of blend differently, but some of that stuff is a lot easier to see after you've done it and you're unhappy with it. You get a better sense of what you could have done, should have done. So I'm just really trying to make this dark here. Add some separation to push this forward. Alright, so let's just keep going here because well, the good news is for you guys, this is looking a lot better through the camera lens than it is in person. And I'm not going to lie to you and say it looks good in person because it's a little rough. But like I said, this is a practicing experience, this is a learning experience. We're going to just treat it as such. So I just got some of the yellow, the cad yellow, and I'm getting a little more of the liquid white. It's probably usually a little more liquid than this, but again, time has kind of kept these from being too fresh. So I'm going into a little of the sap green, yellow, which is incredibly thick. And just trying to get something that just a little different. So alright, and I'm gonna grab a little of this red. If I can still find some. The red and white. And into the yellow again. Just making a mess here, but oh, that's way too hot. That is downright lavender. Gonna try to dull that real lavender stuff out a little bit. Make that seem like it's a little further in the background. Kill some of the white in it. And then I'm just kind of dropping in some, as if these were maybe some trunks or different things. So hopefully we're giving it a little, every now and again, just a little sense of some verticals, some different tree trunks back there. So let's go into the really dark red and blue, make it a dark color, and just kind of recommit to our darks up here. New clean 2-inch brush and the liquid white and the yellow. And let's just make this happen. And we're going to try to thin this guy out as best we can, but this yellow is very hard. So I don't know if we're even going to stick at all, but we're going to do our darndest. And oh boy, this is bad. Yeah. Well, this is a good example of when stuff doesn't quite go right. You can let it dry and work over the top of it. So I got just too much going on here in paint that's not cooperating. So right now this is pretty much a hot mess of all happy little accidents and no gusto. So really what we can do is that's just going to make things worse. Okay, basically this, between the paints and my lack of recent practice, this bottom section is kind of a mess. I'm going to come back and try to clean that up and let it dry a little bit first so I can get a thin paint to stick to this, because right now this is all pretty thin. So a good learning experience, good to get jumping back into it. It's not hideous, but it's nothing I'd want to sell at this point. So really just needs a little more work, a little more attention, and I need to get used to flexing these muscles again. So that's it for now, but thanks for hanging out with me. We'll see if we can clean this guy up on another day. So thank you, have a great night, and thanks for watching.